Hi, welcome back. In this week's chapter assignment, you'll learn about what writers need to think about before they start writing. Like with any project, you can save yourself a lot of wasted time and effort if you spend a little time in the beginning planning your strategy and figuring out exactly what it is that you want to accomplish. So this week, you'll be learning how to develop a strategy for writing, which will include knowing your audience. In the world of writing, the word audience simply means your reader. It only makes sense that to be an effective writer, you might need to adjust your writing style to fit the particular audience you are writing for. In Chapter 2 of your textbook, you'll find some examples of what I'm talking about. Choosing a writing style. During any given day, you might be exposed to 100 different styles of writing, things like informal text messages on your phone, magazine articles and blog postings, or 400-page novels. Each style of writing has its own place and purpose, but in this course we're going to focus primarily on what might be called academic writing, a style that's primarily used for writing reports and research papers. As you move into the more advanced writing courses in college, this is the type of writing that you will most often be asked to do. So one of the primary goals for this course is to prepare you for those future writing courses. But don't worry, we're going to start slow and make sure we cover all the basics before moving on. And that means getting better at constructing sentences, putting those sentences together in a paragraph, and then arranging those paragraphs in a complete essay. Let's take a closer look at how all these pieces fit together. In the first part of this course, we'll focus primarily on writing a well-constructed paragraph. The basic structure of a paragraph includes 1. A topic sentence. The purpose of a topic sentence is to let your reader quickly know what the paragraph is about. The topic sentence should include some type of statement or main point that you will address throughout the paragraph. Immediately following the topic sentence are the body sentences. The purpose of the body sentences is to show or explain what your topic sentence is all about. Keep in mind that in most college writing assignments, you'll need about 8 to 10 sentences in a paragraph to do this adequately. Finally, a well-written paragraph includes some type of concluding sentence. A concluding sentence reminds your reader what your main point is about, usually by looking at the topic from perhaps a different angle. Think of the paragraph as a building block for your essay. Later in this course, you'll learn how to place these paragraphs in the body of your essay and then add a few other components, like an essay title, an essay introduction, and an essay conclusion. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves for now. In these first few modules, we'll focus primarily on writing paragraphs. Keep in mind that the techniques you learn for writing paragraphs will play an important role later on in writing your complete essay. Finding ideas for writing. Most writers eventually find their own tricks for coming up with ideas for writing projects, and I use the word tricks because it's not always an easy process. You've probably heard the expression writer's block, which I think describes very well what can happen to students who attempt to start their writing projects with a blank sheet of paper. So to avoid this problem, I've created an easy-to-use worksheet that will help you 1. Find topics for writing, 2. Write a topic sentence, 3. Write a paragraph. Let's take a closer look at each of these steps and how you might go about completing the worksheet. The first step is to list a few different topics that interest you, preferably topics that you already know something about. You might consider listing a favorite hobby, a place you like to visit, a person you admire, or a social issue like the environment, the economy, or human rights. For example, maybe you have an interest in renovating old houses. Or maybe last month you decided to try internet dating. Maybe you have an interest in politics and immigration laws are something that you've been studying. Or maybe you've been reading about corporate farming and you're concerned about the future of agriculture in your state. These could all be good subjects to write about. The next step is to choose one of these items from your list. Pick something that strikes you as being the most interesting and something that you would feel most comfortable writing about. In this example, I'll choose the renovating old houses topic. The next step is to explore your chosen interest in more depth, looking for specific detail that might become the main focus of your writing. One way to do this kind of exploration is to ask yourself a variety of questions about the topic, and then think about possible answers you might give. Pretend this is an interview, with you playing the role of both the interviewer and the interviewee. In the worksheet, enter both your questions and answers like this. Question: what do you like most about renovating old houses? Answer: I like making something old look new again. Question: is renovating less expensive than building a new house? Answer: although a good renovation job is not cheap, in most cases it can provide you a better quality house for less money. Question: what are the biggest challenges in renovating an old house? Answer: renovating can often expose you to toxic chemicals like lead and asbestos. These must be removed before starting work. Now go back through your questions and answers and choose one of the answers that you believe is the most interesting of all the answers you gave. I think I'll choose this one. Although a good renovation job is not cheap, in most cases it can provide you a better quality house for less money. In the next step, I want you to think of specific details that are related to your chosen answer. For example, old houses were often built with higher quality materials than are used in new homes today. The cost of building a modern home using comparable materials would put new home construction out of reach for most people. If maintained properly, an older house can last almost indefinitely. The White House in Washington, D.C. was built in 1792, and most expect this building to be around for some time to come. Now it's time to create a topic sentence. As I mentioned earlier, a topic sentence is the first sentence of a paragraph, and its purpose is to introduce the main point of your paragraph. Make sure your topic sentence is focused on a specific detail of your chosen topic, and avoid making your topic sentence an announcement, like this. Here's a better example of a topic sentence for my chosen subject. Renovating an old house gives homeowners a chance to own a high-quality home that might otherwise be too expensive to build. After you have written a topic sentence that you are happy with, I want you to use that sentence in a complete paragraph. In Chapter 5 of your textbook, you'll find some information about writing what's called an illustration paragraph. And that's exactly the kind of paragraph I would like you to write using your topic sentence. As you'll see in Chapter 5, an illustration paragraph uses examples to show, explain, or prove a point. If you'd like to see an example of how I wrote my illustration paragraph about renovating old houses, click the link on this page for See My Sample Illustration Paragraph. The grammar workshop for this week is all about using apostrophes. Apostrophes, much like commas, are one of the most troublesome parts of English grammar that students wrestle with. In fact, over the years, a lot of people have argued that we should simply eliminate apostrophes from the language entirely. That hasn't happened yet, so for now, it's still important to understand how to use apostrophes correctly in a sentence. If not, you could easily embarrass yourself when writing a memo, a report, or any document that other people will read. The good news about apostrophes is that the rules are fairly simple. There are only two instances where an apostrophe is needed in a sentence: apostrophes used in contractions and apostrophes used in possessive nouns. For example, with contractions, an apostrophe takes the place of missing letters in a word. Dogs can't climb trees. Can plus not equals can't. Or, we're waiting for Tom. We plus are equals we're. With possessive nouns, an apostrophe indicates ownership. Tom's house is old. The house belongs to Tom. Iowa's farmland is rich. Farmland belongs to Iowa. Now, apostrophes and contractions are fairly easy to remember. However, remembering how to use apostrophes in possessive nouns can be a little more tricky. And that's because in the English language we have two different kinds of possessive nouns: singular possessive nouns and plural possessive nouns. And wouldn't you know, each uses apostrophes in a different way. For example, that boy's dorm room. To show that a dorm room belongs to a specific person, we place the apostrophe before the letter S. However, if we talk about a dorm room belonging to a group of people, we place the apostrophe after the letter S. One of the most common mistakes people make with apostrophes is to place them in words that should never have an apostrophe to begin with. Under no circumstances should you ever use an apostrophe with the word its. For example, the cat loves its toy. Iowa has its beauty. Love has its rewards. Also, never use an apostrophe when you simply write plural versions of a word. For example, cats love to play with toys. Iowa has beautiful rivers. Love has many rewards. Well, that's it for this week. If you have any questions about the assignments, please be sure to contact me through the Angel course mail page. Have a good week, and I'll see you again in the next module.